Hello. Hello. Today I'm going to be working on this large Acer palmatum, Japanese maple, variety Sango Kaku. This is a very large tree. Obviously this isn't really a bonsai. What I'm using this tree for currently is as a mother to airlayer and propagate more trees. Eventually someday I'll get to the point where I airlayer this at somewhere around a foot tall and turn the base of this tree into a bonsai after it's produced, I don't know, dozens of bonsai. Alright, well. Alright, so I'm going to try to just give you a little bit closer of a look at this tree. It's very healthy and vigorous. It's not much growth down low. There was some more, but I think these branches are just getting shaded out and dying off. But it has the beginnings of a lovely base down here. And I think that the bottom portion of this tree will eventually make a very nice little bonsai. There's some other points I may air layer it somewhere in here to get a twin trunk tree. You can see there's a site where one has been taken in the past. So I'm going to get my stuff together and get started showing you how I'm going to turn this one tree into a few more trees. So up here in the apex is where I'm going to be performing the air layers today. I will probably do at least do 2 or 3 in this section, and I'll probably move on and do a few more over in here. There's plenty of foliage on this tree. I'll make probably about a dozen this year. Alright, so now I'm ready to go. I've got everything I'm going to need here on the bench. Some wire, shears, a nice clean sharp knife, some strips of plastic, and wet sphagnum moss. Alright, so I guess I didn't really talk about it, but air layering is a way of propagating trees similar to making a cutting. First thing I'm going to do here is just clear myself some space to work. And really what we're doing is breaking the connection from the leaves or the foliage down to the roots while leaving the connection from the roots to the foliage intact, so that the leaves continue to get water and nutrients from the roots, but they no longer are supplying energy back down to the roots, which causes a kind of a buildup of sugars and starches at that point where we've made the air layer, and it'll just begin to grow roots from that spot. And once those roots have become strong enough in the fall this year, then the branch will be severed and you have another tree. Alright, so first one I'm going to do right about here. I'm going to keep this split in the branch as like a split trunk. So I'm going to go approximately an inch down from where that split occurs naturally. I'm going to take the shears, bite them in a little bit, rotate around so that I get cut all the way around the trunk. And then I'm going to come down about an inch. I'm going to cut in again, rotate around, so I've cut all the way around. Take the knife and connect the 2 cuts. And I'm just going to peel away the bark in between my 2 cuts. little bit hanging on in the back here. Alright, so now that I've removed the bark all the way around, I'm just going to take my knife and scrape. Make sure that I'm not leaving a layer of, well, the only layer of cambium on this branch. If you leave the cambium and just remove the bark, what's going to happen is it's just going to create new phloem from that cambium and reconnect the two cuts, and you'll never actually get any root production. So you want to make sure that you're removing that cambial layer. On a thicker branch, you actually bite in with a spherical cutter or something or carve away a layer of phloem from the inside to ensure that there's no cambium. But on a thinner branch like this, I want to kind of leave as much there as possible. I think that's pretty good. Now I'm just going to clean up my top cut just to ensure that I got a nice clean cut there. Both roots going all the way around. Okay. Next, I'm just going to pre-cut myself a couple pieces of wire. Then I got a ball of wet sphagnum moss. I've just kind of wringed out the excess moisture. I'm going to take that, wrap it around that cut site, favoring more the top of that cut as the center of my ball. That's where the roots are actually going to emerge from. Trying to make sure I don't have any leaves or branches trapped in that ball. Make sure it's kind of even. Take a piece of my plastic. Wrap that around. Take the wire. Tie the plastic off below the moss ball.
tie the top as well. Pack this down in there a little bit.
Now, because this branch is going straight up and down, water's going to drain out from the bottom. That little pouch, I didn't make it, super tight. And same thing on the top, I'll be able to water those roots once they've begun to form through the top here. And I'm not worried about closing it up any tighter than that, or if I do a branch that's horizontal, I'll cut a little door to water through and a hole to drain. But in this case, that's really not going to be necessary. Trim off the excess wire. And now I'll just be waiting to see roots begin to form inside of that pouch. And as long as that happens, a few months from now in the fall, I'll sever that branch and I'll have a little twin trunk Japanese maple. Alright, well now I've moved up about 6 or 8 inches on an adjacent branch to where I did the first one. And I'm going to do the same thing again, right about here. So first thing I'll do is remove these little branches. They're just in my way. Now, that should be plenty of room. I'm going to go about here for make the bottom cut first. This one. About there. And again, I'm going to come up about 1 inch, bite in, rotate the shears around. Take my knife, connect the 2 cuts. And then just peel away the bark. More than the bark. I'm removing the bark and the xylem in this first step. Xylem being the conductive tissue from the foliage down to the roots. Next, I'm going to be scraping off that cambial layer. Cambial layer being the single cell thick layer of a tree between the phloem and the xylem. That's the meristematic tissue where cellular division takes place to create the xylem and the phloem. And I said before, if you leave the cambium behind, it's just going to callus and regrow between your 2 cuts, and you won't get roots forming. When you go to open up that bag, all you'll find is that the branch has healed itself back together, and you got to start over again. Again, now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to take my knife and just retrim the upper cut just to make sure that it's nice and clean and fresh. Give me the best chance of getting as many roots as possible. So in this case I'm using air layering to propagate, but air layering can also be used just to improve a tree or to remove a part of the tree that you don't want, that's undesirable. In this case, eventually this tree will be air layered close to the base so that I can use the base of this tree as a bonsai, and the upper portion of the tree will just continue to be a tree. And I'll continue to use it as a mother plant to make more and more of these trees. So again, I'll wrap my sphagnum moss around the cut site. I'll take a piece of plastic, wrap that around the moss. Some other parts of this tree I may pick particular features, splits in branches or a bend, a curve, and make the air layer based on harnessing that feature that's already in the tree, unlike the two up here that are really just thin branches that have grown outside of the silhouette of the tree, and they need to be pruned off regardless of whether or not I was air layering this or not. Again, this is a very vertical branch, so I'm happy to just leave the top and bottom loose, allow water in and out. So, there we go. There's the first one down there and the one we just did. That's all I'm going to show you for today. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.